Assalamu alaikum and good day to all. How are you? I hope you're all fine. So today I am going to present to you our research on university students' perception on adolescents' pregnancy and sexuality. Before that, let's meet our team members. The first one is me, Fazlina binti Harun Narasid, as the presenter. The second one is Nurmahani binti Muhammad. The third one is Tengku Nurul Akilah binti Tengku Abdul Rahman, and the last one is Dr. Aisyah Hanim binti Abdul Karim. Without further ado, let's go to the introduction and problem statement. Sexual misbehaviors among adolescents has become one of the serious social issues in Malaysia. There are large numbers of adolescents who get pregnant before marriage. It is an average of 18,000 of teenagers who get pregnant each year, according to 2019. So based on this problem, there are lots of consequences, such as the problem on the mother, baby dumping, as well as abandonment of babies. All right, let's go to the objectives of the study. There are two objectives of our study. The first one is to determine the level of perception on sexuality and adolescent pregnancy among university students. The second one is to investigate the relationship of students' perception on sexuality and adolescent pregnancy. So let's go to the literature review. According to the United Nations and WHO, adolescents refers to the persons between the age of 10 until 19 years old, while Steyer et al. 2018 defined adolescents as the person between the age of 10 until 24 years old corresponds closely to the adolescents' growth. Adolescents' pregnancy, according to UNICEF 2018, is any pregnancy ages between 13 until 24. Adolescents' pregnancy actually caused by many reasons, such as poor family institution, rebellious, peer influence, low academic achievement, poverty, lack of knowledge on sexuality, and sexual abuse. So let's move on to the knowledge on sexuality. WHO 2021 refers sexuality as sex, gender identities and roles, sexual orientation, eroticism, pleasure, intimacy, and reproduction, and experience and expressed in thoughts, fantasies, desires, beliefs, attitudes, values, behaviors, practices, roles, and relationships. Inadequate knowledge on sexuality among adolescents can cause sexual abuse, the rise of unwanted pregnancies, HIV, as well as other related diseases. So let's move on to the methodology of this study. In this study, we use quantitative survey design using 5 points Likert scale: strongly agree, agree, uncertain, disagree, and strongly disagree. We also used online questionnaire using Microsoft Form. The questionnaires were divided into 3 sections, which are section 1, demography, second section is perception on sexuality, and the third section is perception on adolescent pregnancy. For the reliability and validity, the questionnaires were developed and adapted from a previous study and validated by an expert in educational psychology. A pilot test was carried out and conducted among 24 university students from another institutions before we carried out our study. So for the data collection, the population is the first year undergraduate students from one faculty in one of the public universities in Selangor, which is 309 people. And then for the sample size, there are 81 respondents who completed the survey, which equals to 26.2% of the population. And we use purposive sampling following the criteria. The first one is university students, and they must be between the adolescents, within the adolescents age. So for the data analysis, we use SPSS 26.0 to analyze the data using descriptive analysis to find the mean, standard deviation, frequency, and percentage for the level of perception on sexuality and adolescent pregnancy among the university students. And we also used Pearson correlation coefficient to find the correlation or relationship between students' perception on sexuality and students' perception on adolescent pregnancy. So for the results, let's go to the demographic of respondents. Let's have a look at the first table first, the age groups. We can see here for the first group 19 until 20 is 19 respondents. 21 until 22 of age is 52 respondents. And the respondents of the age 23 until 24 is 10. And for the gender, there are 19 male respondents for this study and 62 female respondents for this study. So let's go to the students' perception on sexuality and adolescent pregnancy. Based on this table, the perception on sexuality, they are divided into liberal, moderate, and conservative. For the liberal category or level, there are 19 respondents, and for the moderate level, there are 70 respondents, and for the conservative level is 2 respondents. And for the perception on adolescent pregnancy, there is no liberal respondent for that. And for the moderate category, there are 45 respondents, and there are 36 respondents for the conservative level. So the result shows that most of the students' perception on sexuality is in moderate category, and the students' perception on adolescent pregnancy is also at moderate category. So let's go to the correlation between the perception on sexuality and adolescent pregnancy. Okay, we can see here we use a Pearson correlation coefficient to find the correlation between these two. So the R value is 0.085, which is close to 0. So we can say that there is no correlation between the participants' perception on sexuality and adolescent pregnancy. So let's move on to the discussion. The result shows that the students' level of perception toward sexuality and adolescent pregnancy is at moderate level. So this is because they live in urban and mid-urban areas that expose them to such things. And there are other factors that may contribute to this result too. For example, the technologies nowadays that give them exposures to all these kind of sexual and sexualities knowledge, and yet they are still upholding their beliefs, values, and cultures. This also may result that they are less likely to get involved in any sexual misbehavior, but they are prone to get involved in any or such sexual activities. Thus, they need to be aware of the consequences of the negative behaviors. So from this study, it was found out that there is no correlation between students' perception on sexuality and adolescent pregnancy. The students' perception on sexuality does not reflect their reflection on adolescent pregnancy and vice versa. So they may be liberal and moderate about sexuality, but still, they cannot accept adolescent pregnancy as it seems a taboo in our culture and unacceptable in our religion. And it is also related to social prejudice and discrimination because the effects of adolescent pregnancy can be seen physically by the society, um, as we can see from the baby bump or the mother or the babies themselves. So for the conclusion, the result shows that the students' perception on sexuality and adolescent pregnancy are in moderate level. There is no significant relationship between students' perception on sexuality and adolescent pregnancy since the p-value is more than 0.05. Suitable approaches are needed to ensure that our adolescents stay safe and healthy. There are actually many implications of this study. The first one is this study helps to increase awareness among adolescents while we are carrying out the study and give awareness and knowledge to the community regarding this issue and how to solve the problems such as through education. This study also opens up our minds on the consequences and the adolescents to prevent from the immoral activities. The third one is the opinions of the adolescent, the responses of the adolescents and the voices are very important for the authorities, the policymakers to tackle sexual problems and other related issues in our community. That's all for me. Thank you very much.